Samarkand is all set to host 2020's Shanghai Cooperation Organization, and this year's summit is going to be special in the backdrop of so many geopolitical and geo-economic conditions that has been prevailing all around the world. We'll have to see how the Russia-Ukraine conflict will have its impact when the leaders will be discussing various regional and global issues. Also, the impact of COVID, which has disrupted the global supply chain for a very, in a permanent way, that also has to be dealt with a long-term strategy. How the leaders will come out with some strategy on that, this will also be interesting to see. Meanwhile, India has been coming to this platform regularly. Prime Minister Modi is slated to have bilateral relations, bilateral talks with many of his counterparts. Uzbeki counterparts, Shavkat Mirziyoyev is one bilateral that has been confirmed so far with Prime Minister Narendra Modi. There are also expectations that Prime Minister Modi will be having a bilateral with Russia's President Vladimir Putin. Chinese President Xi Jinping and Pakistan's Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif will also be present during SCO summit level talks. We'll have to see whether the presence of these leaders will also ensue any bilaterals with Indian leader Prime Minister Modi. However, the talks that are going to be the focus of this year's SCO summit will surely be Russia-Ukraine conflict and its aftermath, its impact on global supply chain, disruption, food security, health issues. We have seen how the pandemic has been adversely impacted the global order of supply chain. Global health has become an issue where leaders have started talking about long-term strategies. What will be the outcome in terms of health strategy? These leaders will be discussing. We'll have to see that. Also, the whole agenda of SCO has been to create more people-to-people engagement. We'll also have to see what the leaders will be discussing on this issue and what will be the takeaways so that more people-to-people engagement could be possible among SCO member countries. There has been strategic and defense cooperation also. There has been multiple exercises under SCOs where the teams or the army persons from all the SCO member countries have participated. How to give it more strength, that will be also one of the agenda. Beside that, we'll have to see how the SCO summit is going to take forward the issues of terrorism. We have recently seen how one Uzbeki national was apparently apprehended in Russia, who was trained and brainwashed by ISIS, and he was supposed to go to India and create a major disaster in terms of he was mandated, he was guided to do a political assassination of a senior BJP leader or a senior government functionary. That was told by us from the security agencies. So in that context, it is also important to understand that those radicalizations and the issues of terrorism and people getting brainwashed and causing wreaking some havoc in terms of pursuing their radical agenda is something that the nations or the leaders will have to think and come out with a strategy to deal with. Also, when the leaders will be here talking, they will be talking about so many regional issues. They will be talking about global issues. If we talk about the global issues, supply chain issues, food security, rising crude prices, essential commodity, scarcity of essential commodities in the global market, non-availability of electronic chip is also one of the key sector where the leaders need to focus, because the scarce availability of those microchips are creating a large hurdle for the manufacturing industry, or especially all those industry which deal with these electronic chip. So with that in mind, so many different level of hurdles have been created over the past 2-3 years in terms of a smooth global supply chain. This SCO summit is also happening at a time when there has been rising tension in Taiwan and its sea around. There has been a Chinese aggression which was very much visible in the first week of August and in the second week of August as well, where there were Chinese military doing live military practice where they fired live missiles. Those missiles were quite lethal in nature, and they crossed beyond the horizons of Taiwan and they fell into Japan's special economic zone also. So there was clearly a a scene that was not something that was welcomed by the various members. We'll have to see how those issues, the rising tension in Taiwan Strait, military standoff between India and China, the terrorism issues that India has been raising again, that member states or any state should not allow terrorism to emanate from their soil, and there should be no safe haven for terrorists. How these steps, how these points will be taken in this discussion, and what will be the long-term strategy of all the leaders when they will be probably out from this summit, giving a joint statement or a joint communique after this summit is over. From Samarkand, this is Abhishek Jha reporting for CNN News 18.